when you go in and you find out that you're at a listing presentation, right? You're at a listing presentation and you find out that the vendor has got a close relationship and may even be friends with another agent in the area, and they're leaning towards going with that other agent. What I want to do now is just share with you what I think you can actually say to a vendor that might give them a little bit of doubt, because that's what you want to do. Now, in a court of law, you'll notice the whole gist of a court of law is to have a jury that has no doubt. Beyond reasonable doubt is the word. Beyond reasonable doubt. So what you do in this situation is this. You simply don't say to a client a statement, because that's got commission breath. You ask a question that then creates some certain doubt in that vendor's head, and that then allows you to explore that further and talk about alternative actions. So here it is. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I understand that you have a real estate agent in this marketplace who you know on a social basis. What I want to ask you is this: how certain are you that this agent will get you the best price? You see, gang, people need certainty to make a decision, right? So the question, and I love questions, by the way, and most of the scripts and dialogues that I use are question-based, because amateurs make statements, professionals ask questions. So I'll say that again. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, whilst I know that you've got a social relationship with this other agent and you do know them, one of the things I'd like to ask you is, how certain are you that this agent will get you the best price? That's the first one. The second one I want to talk to you about is, if you're a real estate agent and you've got strong dominance in your marketplace and you've been there for many, many years, one of the things that you want to do is work your strengths. And working your strengths means that what you do is you show them things that if they go with you, they benefit from, and if they don't go with you and go with someone that doesn't have that experience, what it basically means is they might lose out. So this is what it sounds like. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I've got to let you know, I've been working in this marketplace for 16 years. And in those 16 years, you know, I've sold over 700 properties. And I want to let you know, whilst selling real estate is not saving lives, I've got to say to you that this is the biggest asset that you most likely have. And I've got to say to you that the most expensive thing that you can do in real estate is to put a good buyer in front of a bad agent. That can become really expensive. And I want to let you know that you need to bear in mind that, generally speaking, the best agent and the cheapest agent is not the same agent. And one of the advantages of going with me, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, is that I'm letting you know, and it's a very big advantage, is that, hypothetically speaking, if your daughter had to have eye surgery, important eye surgery, and her eyesight depended on it, can I ask you, would you give it to a doctor that had only done that operation once or twice in their life? Or would you be giving it to a doctor that had done that procedure nearly 1,000 times? That's one of the questions you've got to ask yourself. Which of the two decisions are going to give you peace of mind? Gang, I want you to understand that metaphors paint pictures in people's head. And I want you to get really good at using metaphors, because people, generally speaking, will make a decision emotionally and then justify it logically later. And when you use great words, dialogue, scripts, they change lives. Now, a lot of people often say to me, but Tom, scripts are not authentic. Well, scripts that sound like scripts are not authentic. Scripts that have been internalized, that you actually use your own words. Scripts that sound like you having a conversation with a friend over lunch don't sound like scripts. They actually sound like you having a conversation. And I've got to tell you, tennis players get paid for the way they hit a ball, soccer players get paid for the way they kick a ball. And in real estate, you simply get paid for what you say, how you say it, how often you say it. So don't fall for the bullshit story that you say, hey, scripts aren't my thing. Whether you like it or not, you're already using scripts. You just might be unconsciously competent at them and you're just doing the same ones over and over again. In fact, what you probably say at a listing presentation in your own way, in the way that you're madly in love with at the moment, is in fact a script. So the opposite of that, if you're a new agent and you don't have the experience and you haven't sold a lot of properties, you look at what your strengths are. And your strengths are that you'll go in there and say, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I've got to let you know, I have not been here for 20 years. I don't have 30 listings on my books, but I've got to let you know, when you hire me, you get me. I'm not going to outsource it to a bunch of young PAs. I'll be handling all the inquiries. I'll be doing all the opens. I'll be doing all the negotiation. And in addition to me, you get the team. So you don't just get me, you get we. And in addition to that, I've got to tell you, if you give me your business, it is an absolute privilege. And I've got to prove myself each and every day in this marketplace. And I've got to let you know, there will not be a real estate agent in this marketplace that's going to work harder than me for you to sell your property. And I've got to tell you, I've got to say to you, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, the fact that another agent's got 20 properties means they're going to be treating your property like it's an item at the Coles shelves. It's an item at the Aldi shelves. Whereas with me, you give me your property, I'm letting you know, I will wake up morning to night looking for a buyer to get your property sold for top dollar. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, I want to get to work straight away. That's the kind of energy that's going to win you business if you're a new agent. Now, what I want to talk to you about is another word that's extremely useful in real estate when you're talking to a client, and it is this word here. Possible, but it has to be used in a sentence. It's got to be used in a sentence. So an example again, in a court of law. Let's bring a court of law. Again, you'll see a barrister get up and a barrister will speak in front of the jury and they're going to try and influence them, because this is what this is all about. It's about influence. It's about transforming people's minds. It's about taking people from indecision to decision. It's about getting someone to move forward because they actually hear something that inside of them says, yes, I get that. And I've got to share with you that this is how you would use this word, possibility. At a court of law, have you ever seen a docuseries or something on Netflix where the barrister gets up and he says to the jury, could it be possible that in fact the murderer is the husband and that he had a motive, and the motive was that he wanted to start a new life with his mistress, and what he wanted to do is to cash in on the life insurance policy. And may I say to you, to the jury here, could it be possible that in fact no one broke into the home and no one in fact murdered her? Because why wouldn't they have murdered him as well? Could it be possible that this was a plan for him to start a new life? You see, when you use the words, could it be possible, it opens up to the person that listens another possibility, another course of action. So let me show you how you can use this in real estate. At a listing presentation, when you've got a vendor that's overpriced, or when a vendor, not overpriced, when you've got a vendor that says the other agent said that they would get me $1 million. And it's not worth $1 million. It's only worth $900,000. Try this. Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, could it be possible that that real estate agent, in fact, told you that because they would seduce you into believing they'd get you $1 million, and then they would sign you up, and then they would have control of you for 90 days, because that's what generally people go into an agency agreement with. And in that 90 days, they would come back and tell you, hey, we can't get you that $1 million. But by that stage, it's too late because in fact, you're signed up with the other agent. Could it be possible that not only has the agent been dishonest and basically used it as a trick to get you to sign with them, but could it be possible that they also are bringing in you into a nightmare that won't go away? Because unlike a plumber where you can sack them, a real estate agent, you've got an agency agreement. Here's another way that you could use it. To a vendor that won't accept an offer at the moment, and the vendor says, oh, no, we'll wait, we know the market's going to go up, blah, blah, blah. Mr. Vendor, could it be possible that in March, JobKeeper goes, the holidays on mortgages go, people can't access their superannuation because that's come to an end? Could it be possible that the government grants stop and that the hangover begins? Could it be possible that unemployment goes up? Could it be possible, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, that the offer we've got today of $900,000, we never get it again, and that the best that we're getting is $850,000? And I just want you to imagine what it would feel like if you're a vendor saying, we should have taken that offer. And by the way, I want you to imagine is also a very good piece of dialogue to use, because when you say to someone, I want you to imagine, what you do is you take them and you time travel them. You take them to another spot. Guys and girls, there's a couple of the scripts and dialogues that I've been working along. I'm letting you know that the real estate gym is basically now my full-time role, because I've decided that I'm not doing as much speaking as I was doing previously. And that essentially means that we've just taken something that was a great program and we've turned it into excellent. I've assembled some of the greatest real estate agents and coaches to help me through the next 12 months. So join the real estate gym. Susan's going to put the link there. It's $620 a year or $65 a month. And I'm also going to let you know before we finish off tonight, every agent between now and Christmas needs to pick up the phone and have what I call the end of year summary call, where they call their clients and do this. Every client from A to Z, as far as I'm concerned, I'll tell you straight, if someone is in your area that owns real estate, they're a potential client. But let's talk about the ones that you've already got on your database. You've got to pick up the phone and you've got to say, hey, it's Tom Panos here from XY Real Estate. The reason I'm calling is because this is the time of year I like to provide all my clients a summary of what happened in 2020. And I'd also like to give you a forecast on what I think will happen in 2021. And I want to let you know that this is what I do to all my VIP clients. It's going to take me 2 minutes. So then you go on and you give them the summary, 30 seconds, what happened in 20. And then you say, and my forecast for 2021 is this. I believe that there's a possibility that right now we're at the height of the market. And it essentially means that the absorption rate's at its best. It means that anything that's coming on the market is being absorbed by buyers really quickly. The reason why that's happening is that the media is behind real estate. We've got a lot of government stimulants. And in addition to that, I want to let you know, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, that at the moment we've got a shortage of property right across Australia. So what I'm actually going to suggest to you right now, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, is if you did have some interest in what the marketplace is doing, if you did have some interest in coming onto the market, that I suggest that you come onto the market and you list now and you launch later. And what I mean by that, I want to take advantage of the period of middle of December to middle of January that's got record eyeballs from realestate.com on property. You see, people aren't going to go to New York People aren't going to be going to Bali. People aren't going to be going to Hawaii. They're going to be in Australia. They're going to stay in their country, New Zealand. And for that reason, they're going to probably be looking at realestate.com.au and domain.com.au. And if we do get an inquiry, I want to make sure that I've got your property available. And whilst I understand that you're not ready to launch, I'd like to have it in my top pocket. And then you just finish off this question. Mr. and Mrs. Vendel, can I ask you, how has COVID-19 impacted your real estate plans? Guys and girls, pick up the phone, get through those calls. You'll be shocked at the conversations that happen, where they lead, and please go to Christmas on the 19th of December or the 20th, or when you're finishing up from work, having your car parked at the top of the hill. Put the handbrake up at the top of the hill. And what I mean by that is you want to come back in the new year with momentum and start rolling down. You don't want to come back to work having no stock. So your job, guys and girls, is to pick up the phone and go through, do those yearly summary calls and suss out, ask some questions, probe. How has COVID-19 impacted your real estate plans? Introduce them to the list now, launch later strategy. Say this to them: how open-minded would you be for me to pop in for 5 minutes just to have a quick look at my house and refamiliarise myself with your property in case I meet someone over the next couple of weeks that might pay you a great property price? Guys and girls, enough said. I'm going to see you off. Good to see you. Let's remember, Christmas has not started. We've had a decent amount of time off this year because of COVID-19. Don't drink too much booze, stay healthy, sleep well, and work through to the end of Christmas, because I want everyone that follows my content to understand that it is so much better in life to go on a break knowing that it's set up for success when you come back, guys and girls. Signing off, realestategym.com.au is the URL. I would love to be in your corner for the next 12 months. Gang, signing off. See you soon.